Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of In Studio. I'm Brian Parika, and today we got the one, the only, Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
for introducing me the way I asked you to.
The one and one and only.
Every time.
That's you. How's life? How's it going? Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, great, man. Thanks for having me. It's going well.
Yeah.
Here, and we're ramping up for Waco, and excited about it, proud about it, and the band is back together, the whole crew and everybody. So it's good to see everyone.
Now, speaking of Waco, your portrayal of David Koresh.
Mm-hmm.
When did this role kind of first hit your eyes, and when did you find out about it?
Man, I think
because I remember when it was first announced, and it was announced a pretty overwhelming response with you.
Yeah. I think I was one of them. No, I guess now it's been a year. I started truly prepping January 2nd of last year. Hit camera late April. And then I knew I had the role for a few months before, but I was doing Only the Brave as well. And then, blocked off the first 4 months of last January just to prep and get ready.
Awesome. Now, how familiar were you with his story, with the entire story?
Pretty much not at all.
Okay.
I remember it. Obviously, I was 12 when it all went down. So, I mean, obviously it was international news as living in Canada. And I remember blips. I think I do.
Yeah.
Obviously the last visual of the house.
I didn't know anything about it. I had to get research before I started watching.
And then, of course, when you get the role, it's like you become kind of a journalist. You do the research and you dive into who Dave was and why he did what he did, or you try and break that down and wrap your head around it. And you're working with John Dowdle. The Dowdle brothers directed it, and they were amazing. And obviously Shannon comes on board, and then we started rolling.
Now, in terms of getting into the mindset of him, I mean, what were the challenges of that, and how did you approach that?
So many, man.
Like, how do you get into
so many?
It's insane.
Just immerse yourself, You kind of have to be myopic with this guy, especially of just trying to reason certain things that a lot of things you don't agree with or you don't understand, If I want to learn about anybody or what makes them tick, you kind of got to start at ground zero, and that's where I did with Dave, from like his childhood or lack thereof, really, and then the way he was brought up, and then you go into obviously the scripture, the specific scripture that he would break down and then and live by, and then you go into his past, him growing up, and then just try and wrap your head around it, and obviously you have the scripts as well, which is, no pun intended, kind of your Bible to move with and figure that out. But it was collaborative. I'd call John Dowdle once a week. We'd kind of just connect and figure out and ask each other questions, and then we optioned both books, Gary Nesner's book and Thibodeau's book, and I started writing,
which is the two sides essentially of the story.
So Nesner's the lead epiag negotiator, and Thibodeau was Dave's drummer and one of his right-hand men, really confidant, and was there for obviously till the last beat before he got out. So you see the
story of how he kind of brings Thibodeau in as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you just pick his brain, and you watch these tapes, you listen, you watch the recruitment tapes, to the letters that he would write, to obviously the sermons, and then the phone calls with Nesner, to the Child Protective Services calls, to you just try and accumulate as much as you can and pick what really grabs you out of it, and try and understand both sides of it as well,
One of the things that I kind of noticed when watching the first 3 episodes at least is it doesn't paint Dave as a sympathetic figure, but it doesn't paint him in a negative light. And you kind of look at it in the lens of Michael Shannon's investigation, as like you're learning about this group.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about how you guys set up that tone? And
I love that it is more a matter of fact. It is accurate, I will say that, and which is obviously everything. But I think, it's funny, man. It's just like people, and I started one of the things I learned during the process of it, of like, obviously you read the first few lines of the first articles you start reading, the surface articles of Dave and Waco and what happened, and it's like everyone starts telling you, it's like, oh, you play that crazy, you know, and obviously he did believe in some crazy stuff, no doubt, and did some stuff that you don't agree with, like I said, but it's also, you start letting the people or their opinions that hadn't read anything on them, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be crazy. You're gonna go play this crazy guy, and it's like, but if I started to truly do that, then you're kind of cutting yourself off to so much more of who he was and what made him tick, you know? So if I play every scene crazy, whatever that is, the subjectiveness to that, you would easily turn the channel within 10 minutes, you know? So I think, you know, I kind of move that aside, and you try and break down, like we said, you know, just why and what makes him go, and his childhood, and why he believes in this, and why he became what he became, you know, and I think that's what you get, you know, and it is a matter of fact to him, and that is kind of crazy in its own sense as well, of just like the stuff he did believe in so thoroughly, and how he delivers it so matter-of-factly, you know? And if you really listen to what he's saying and what he's doing, I mean, it's an incredible thing to kind of try and take in and decipher, you know?
When you guys wrapped filming, did you take away your own personal decision on what went down? And
yeah, no doubt.
What is it today? What do you...
Look, I think it could have been avoided. I mean, I think when you start a relationship, if you want to call it that, the way they came in on that, there's 2 real seizures, obviously. And the first one where there's 80-plus ATF agents that come out. And so when you come out and you start this whole thing, which was a huge press maneuver by the ATF as well.
It was a press machine, essentially.
Yeah, you know, it was... You know, before that whole, the first one was to get a lot of great press for the ATF, you know, and paint this picture of what's going on inside the compound. So,
and you see like kind of the plannings of that when they talk about what they want.
Absolutely.
Like,
and they could have taken Dave on his runs when he's at Walmart, when he's playing a gig in Texas or in LA, and I think a lot of it could have been avoided. So obviously you start on the worst foot possible, where there's no trust between the two. So hence the 51-day standoff.
Do you foresee, I mean, the way the story is being told, do you foresee, like, any criticisms from the audience about this, and any backlash?
Man, I'm all for whatever, you know. I hope you go through every emotion. I think there's going to be, you know, certain scenes where you love Dave and you hate him in the same beat, you know, and that means I've probably done my job, because he was that type of guy. You know, he was very dramatic, obviously, kind of hard on his sleeve guy. He was very funny at times, and you know, he played in a band and sang and wrote music, but he was incredibly hard on the Davidians, the family, the kids, and so, you know, you want to show every color of him, you know, and all these Davidians. And I think what I find so far is that people they're coming at it and they don't know how to feel when they start to feel for these Davidians, that you kind of humanize the guys and women and children in the compound, you know? So I love that. I think that's a big reason why you do it, you know? And I don't know, you got to tip the hat to the Dowdos as well.
Yeah. Going off of what you just said, kind of humanizing him, you sing in the series?
I do.
Is that actually you singing? Or?
It is, man. Every note. And I apologize in advance.
Can you give us a line right now?
No way. He does sing My Sharona, and I won't give away the next one, but the next one, and they're both true stories, which I love, and
that's when he meets Thibodeau. And they set that up.
Yeah, exactly. So the real story is, and we couldn't because it's locations, everything else, but he did recruit. Thibodeau was in L.A. Becoming a drummer, and was a damn good one, and still is, actually. And Dave and Steve Snyder, his right-hand man, played by Sparks, recruited Thibodeau at a Guitar Center. Yeah, here in L.A.
Speaking of Sparks, he was in here earlier today.
Yeah.
And he has a few questions for you.
Bring it on.
He wanted to know specifically, obviously you had to physically transform into Koresh. How much weight did you lose?
27 to 30 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, right in there.
And that was from like just training and.
Yeah, just diet. Yeah. Diet's everything. If you want to go up or down. So it was basically 600 to 800 calories a day, and I get probably 400 of them in the morning, just so you can have energy to research and learn guitar and go to singing lessons and not want to pass out.
You have to sing for us.
No way. Yeah, so and then you start after 4 o'clock. It basically boils down to chicken broth.
Now, Sparks also mentioned that while you were filming in Santa Fe, you put back some weight.
Asshole.
He said you gained some weight and did you get in trouble for that or?
No, I probably gained back. I came really underweight. I was tiny when I started, but I'd say maybe 3 or 4 pounds, but I don't weigh myself. I think you just got to use, where you feel comfortable.
Santa Fe has like famous Christmas enchiladas.
Really? Yeah, I remember the green or red sauce. They have it at their McDonald's too, which is crazy.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They're nuts over that.
They're like serving enchiladas at McDonald's. This is a nice McDonald's plug.
Yeah, it is.
And then he wanted us to take a picture of him because
What do you mean?
Of Paul Sparks. He said, "Can you take a picture of me, show it to Taylor, and say, do I look like a UT Longhorns coach?"
He does.
He does, right?
He absolutely does. Burnt orange. Hook 'em.
No, another one of your recent roles was in Only the Brave. And it's a true story, but obviously like a very different true story. It's of the...
Both shot in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you as an actor, in taking on true real-life stories, what are the pros of that? And do you favor that at all as an actor? Or?
I do. The responsibility is obviously heightened. I don't know. I think it's one of the most flattering things you can have as an actor for a family and a director or a storyteller to come at you and kind of, be a part of whatever that legacy is. If it's a Chris McKenzie, Mike Murphy, Bruce Niles, Kevin Carter, and then obviously with Koresh. So I'm very flattered by it. I think it's the ultimate compliment.
Looking ahead, is there any real-life character you want to play or you want to see?
To continue with, and I live in Austin, I run by this guy.
I love Austin,
Stevie Ray, I'd love to try and swing at, but I need about 10 more years of guitar class.
Yeah.
And then some. But his story is incredible, but there's no one else I'd rather, I've circled. Yeah. But I'm guessing...
You need to make a list.
I know I should. I should. Just requests. Yeah.
It's like a vision board, and then
maybe totally. It'll happen. And then if it doesn't happen, watch out.
It's crushed.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I know a lot of viewers are looking forward to about Waco is that it's this 6-part limited series, and it's 6 hours of kind of allotting time to this story. Mm-hmm. For you as an actor, what is the pro of that in terms of
I love
having more time?
Yeah, no, I think especially for something like this, it's like to do this in 90 minutes or 2 hours would be an injustice in itself. And to really break down, and you're more spoiled if, as an actor or storyteller, that you get to really show a lot more and have more screen time and not rush this arc. No. And these guys and this story is so complex that, it gives Mike Shannon and all these other guys beats that they deserve as well. So it's really fitting. And this could be a 20-hour series, because so much went down and it was so complex.
Going off that, was there anything left out from the story that
I will tell you a story that's incredible.
Do it.
So Dick DeGuerin was Dave's lawyer, and he, and I can share this. You're the first one.
Breaking news.
Just saying.
Thank you.
And this is totally ironic by chance that Dick DeGuerin was in Santa Fe speaking. And obviously we're like, oh my God, you're in this bubble already, and you're like, Dave's real lawyer's coming to Santa Fe to speak, and we're shooting Waco.
That's crazy.
This is incredible. So we go. I meet him. He was awesome. And
did you have any intention on meeting him before that, or?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's insane.
So I'll try and make the story quick. So he goes up and does like a 25-minute speech about, all these interesting characters and people, obviously, that he's represented, and Dave being one of them. And, it's the 25th anniversary of Waco, and, he gets choked up doing it still. you know, and there's slides and pictures I've never seen. I feel, you know, I've educated myself a lot on this and this whole thing. So just to hear his POV on it. So he told this story the first time he went to the door, the Davidian's house, the compound.
Yeah.
And Dave's mom asked him to represent Dave. So he goes, I think he was fishing, and he gets this call, and he's like, gets word of what's going on and all this stuff. And there's tanks on the property and helicopters circling it, snipers 24/7 around. Dave couldn't walk by the windows and all this, and there's a lot of injustice already going on. And so he went, and he's like, I want to go see my client. And they're like, are you kidding me? This guy's this, and that. He killed 4 ATF agents in the first shootout. He's like, yeah. So they put him in a tank, and the tank goes to the door, and Steve and Wayne, Dave's two right-hand men, answer the door, and they had this big piano against the door just so they didn't come back in or try and come in. It was like a little barrier. And so they move the piano and open, and there's Dick and the two guys, and they talk, and they meet these other Davidians and the kids, and Dick looks at the door, and he sees that the shots were coming in, and because that was a big deal of who shot first or whatnot, and looks at the ceiling and sees that they had been shot at through helicopters and whatnot, which was another big deal. So they talk for 45 minutes, no Dave. And he's like, well, yeah, you know, I want to come back, and I want to represent him, and, you know, I think we can help you, and I can help you do this and try and get you out of here and give you a fair trial and figure this out. Yeah. And they're like, oh, my God, this is awesome. And then they're on the stoop, and they're like, Dick's like, hey, no offense, but my client's Dave Koresh. Like, if we're going to move forward, I need to talk to Dave in person. And Steve goes, oh, no, you're fine, because he's been listening this whole time. And Dick's like, what do you mean? He was in the piano.
He was
in the piano that was against the door. So Dave had listened to this whole thing this whole time. And ended up having a relationship with him and seeing Dick multiple times. But we had just shot the scene where the lawyers come to the door. And it was interesting because you don't know a lot of what really happened. Because everyone's passed, and they weren't there, obviously. Some of the, you know, Tibbs wasn't there at the time in that foyer. So it's like you kind of, you go and figure out what, or Dave would do at the time, and you know he wasn't allowed to walk by windows and stuff.
Did he reshoot?
Oh, I begged and pleaded to reshoot that, but we couldn't reshoot it. But that story has stuck with me, and it's just like those incredible, intimate beats that no one knows about. That's crazy. You know,
because in shows like this, you can't really, in terms of conversations, you don't really know, I guess, what's said. So like something like that.
Even the last beats of what happened, it's up to, and still, and there's so many things that are unanswered. But, you know, for Dave's last beat, Steve's last beat, a lot of these Davidians, and, you know, you look and study the autopsies to what's going on inside at the time, and you just try and, you know, figure these I mean, God knows how many times we talked about the last beats of Dave and Steve, and then you just got to marry yourself to it and just swing, you know. But that's just one of those beats that no one can really tell you except obviously Dick DeGuerin, and insane. That was an incredible story.
That's really great. Last question. Obviously, it seems like you would want to spend more time, I guess, playing Koresh, or kind of as much time as you could.
Yeah, I mean, no.
No.
Just because it was a fucking tough mentally thing to go and be a part of, and you know, I loved it. I loved the challenge.
With you, or is it able to break away from it?
Yeah, it took a couple months for sure to come out of that, because it's 4 months prep and then just under 4 to shoot, so it's like a good year of your life, and obviously the stakes and everything else, and playing someone that believes in certain things and does certain things like what he did. So it was. It definitely stays with you, and you definitely, you know, when you're talking to survivors like Thibodeau and even Nesner, who's on the other side, and it's like you get to know these guys, and you create this relationship. So it definitely, means a lot to us to be a part of.
Now, looking back throughout your career, last question, is there another character you kind of wish you had more time with?
Sean was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
In Savages. I'd love to play him again and really go. I'd love to see what made Sean,
Yeah.
And actually, Oliver and I were going to shoot a couple flashbacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Savages, which was, awesome. And but there just wasn't enough time. There's so many other
Because you
great
didn't really get to see
characters.
that part,
Mike Murphy is something that stayed with me and has given way more than I've even put into that. And, being like a brother, having a brother, Mark Luttrell now, and I'd you could make a movie out of any of those guys, and I just hold him so high, and that would be awesome too.
Awesome. Now, you wouldn't sing for us, but I have a bunch of people here begging me to ask you this. Do you mind giving us
Probably no now.
a Clear Eyes, Full Hearts, Can't Lose to the camera?
Clear Eyes, Full Hearts.
Can't Lose.
There you go.